Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jenna, and today I'm going to be giving my 1 year postpartum update, 1 year post 4th degree tear, and I thought this was the perfect time because the week that I'm filming this is Birth Trauma Awareness Week, and I'm going to touch more on that at the end, but I have really gained a new perspective on my birth. I thought it would be good to talk about it. And also, when I did have my 4th degree tear, I was constantly looking for postpartum updates, even as far as 1 year past the 4th degree tear, just to see how everyone else was healing and if it ever heals. So I thought I would give my update, and I do have 2 other updates. I believe I had one at 7 months and then one at like 3 weeks. So I'll link those in the description and on the screen. There'll be a card up top. But yeah, this is just going to be talking about how I'm feeling now with that 4th degree tear injury and how it has healed, how it has changed my life, kind of, and just how I'm doing mentally and physically with it. This is a little bit TMI. I mean, a 4th degree tear in and of itself is just a little bit graphic to talk about. If you don't know what it is, you can look it up. If you are watching this, I assume you know what it is, but it is going to be a little bit TMI, but I want to be honest on how things are going, and yeah, that's the point of this, is to be honest with someone going through it, or if you're just trying to gain more information on different tears. I just want to be a source of information, hope, honesty, and give you some insight as to what it's been like. So, not much has really changed since my last update, but a few things have. A few good things and a few not so good things. So I'll just start with that, I guess. Let's start with pain. So I don't really have pain at all anymore, which is, I did not think I would ever see that day. If you're going through this currently, if you're like 1 month postpartum or even 3-4 months, you probably feel the same way, like you'll never see a day where you're not in pain. But I am not really in pain anymore, and that's so great. Praise the Lord for that. It is very painful during my period. Just all those muscles in my pelvic floor are very swollen and heavy, and it just throbs. It's very painful during my period, but other than that, I don't really get pain. Every once in a while, I'll get a weird like twinge where it's a little bit heavy or sore. But otherwise, I feel really good, and I honestly can't believe I'm sitting here saying that, because I thought it was just going to be something I live with. I just live with pain, but I just have to live with it for like 1 week out of every month. So I hope that is a little bit helpful or gives you some hope if you're going through this currently. Oh, I'd also like to add that I don't have any pain during sex anymore. I mentioned that in my 7-month one, that it was painful sometimes, especially right away. But now I don't really feel any pain, which is also great. Praise the Lord for that as well, because that would be very hard, and I'm sorry if that is the case for you. But for me, it has gone back to normal, and I don't have any pain or discomfort anymore. So that was the good news of the update. Now the bad news is that my pelvic floor is not doing well. It's basically non-existent, and the muscles just don't do much. They are very, very weak, and I can tell because this is gonna be kind of gross, but I pee a lot, like involuntarily. If I have to go, it will just sometimes leak out a little bit. I cannot control wind. I hate talking about this. I don't even want to talk about this, but I want to be honest. I can't control wind, and I am having a bit of an issue controlling my bowels. I can, but not for long, which is I think the same as last time, but maybe a little bit less. I've been trying to do my pelvic floor exercises, but I don't even have enough strength to like do it properly, so I'm thinking I'm gonna have to go back to physical therapy once or twice and maybe get like, I don't know what it's called, but they'll do it electromagnetically, or I don't even know what it's called, but they'll do it manually with a machine to help you release pressure points and strengthen your pelvic floor, which I think I'm going to need to do because I'm 21 and should not be having incontinence issues. So that's a big bummer, and it does make things very difficult, especially since I have irritable bowel syndrome. They're just not a good mix, and it's been really tough to go anywhere without being very anxious. It's been very tough to not be anxious even at home. It's been really hard, but it is what it is. I guess at the moment I'm trying to still do my exercises, but I don't really notice much of a change right now. But I definitely don't want to be wearing adult diapers, you know, when I'm 30. I don't want to be having these issues at such a young age, so we definitely need to figure out something. But that is the update right now. I'll update if I do go to physical therapy soon. I'm thinking I'm going to have to, or it would be smart of me to do so. But I'll update if I do that. I will be going to see a doctor in about a month, so I'm gonna see what she says about the scar tissue, how it looks, if it seems like everything's healed up properly, and then I'll get some more answers after that. But that leads me to my next question, and I have always been curious about women who have had 4th-degree tears, if they would choose to have another vaginal birth if they have future kids, or if they would opt for a C-section. This will be something that I'll have to discuss with my doctor when it comes to that time. But what I wish for the next baby, whenever I have the next baby, I hope to have another vaginal delivery, and my hope is to do it at a birth center because I think I would have more control over the birth and how I deliver, and I think in turn would give me less chance of tearing again. But if my scar tissue is still really, I don't know what the right word is, but if it isn't healed very well, then I might have to opt for a C-section. I would really like to avoid a C-section because I just don't know how you ladies do it who have had C-sections. It terrifies me, and I would much rather have another vaginal delivery. It terrifies me, and I just give you props. But that is the plan. I'll definitely have to talk to my OB and then also the birth center to see if they'll even take me after having such a bad birth injury. I don't know, because some people think it makes you tear worse the next time. We'll see what happens with that, and I'm sure I'll keep you updated with that as well. But that's pretty much it for like my symptoms and how it's going right now. But to end out this video, I want to talk about birth trauma a little bit, and if you have PTSD from birth trauma, then maybe don't watch this unless you think it will be therapeutic. I won't be talking too much in detail or anything, but I know that it can be triggering for some people, and I would hate to do that to you. So birth trauma. Let's just pull up a definition of birth trauma. When you Google birth trauma, it says birth trauma is a shorthand phrase for post-traumatic stress disorder after childbirth. We use it for women who have symptoms of PTSD but not enough for a full diagnosis. And I think that is me 100%. So if you have been following me or you know me in person, you might be confused as to why I would even consider my birth traumatic, because I have went on and on about how peaceful and how empowering and how my birth was everything I had prayed and wished for, and that's all true. But I think I was sort of like lying to myself a little bit, because my labor was exactly what I had hoped for, and that's the part I was scared for. But by definition, if you want to call it that, the actual delivery was very traumatic, whether it be to my mind or body or both. And I didn't know that until a couple months ago. I was rewatching my birth because we videoed it, parts of it at least, and then whenever I talk about it, I would get very panicky and I would tense up, and I would actually start getting phantom pain where down there would hurt and throb, and I would get the chills and feel like I was gonna throw up. And I was thinking to myself after many times this happening that that's probably not normal to think back on your child's birth and want to like you feel physically ill. And that sounds terrible, and I would never want, Hazel, if you ever watch this, I would never want you to think that it wasn't worth it, or like I'm upset at this, because totally not. I would do it all over again. But like I said, by definition, it's almost impossible to have a 4th degree tear and not have it be traumatic, just because of how much damage it does to your body. And once I realized that, it made me have a lot more clarity on like why I am the way that I am, and why I view my birth the way that I do, why I didn't have that bond, I think, right away with my daughter. You know, I've talked about not having that magical baby on chest moment, and it just cleared up a lot of things for me. And I just want to make it very clear that if you had a traumatic birth, whether it be traumatic in your brain or traumatic to your body, traumatic births don't mean that you failed. It's just the way it is sometimes, and you have to go back in a healthy way and just accept what happened, and also just know that it doesn't have to be that way every time. It probably won't be that way every time, and it's just what happened. I guess I don't really have like advice, because I'm still working through this as well. Luckily mine it isn't making me scared of having another baby, but it has definitely affected me as a person. And again, I don't want this to come across like I had the worst birth ever. It was so traumatic. It genuinely wasn't really traumatic for my mind until I got home, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot walk, I cannot stand, I can't sit, and like, how am I going to take care of my baby? Is this ever going to get better? Am I ever going to go back to normal? I just know that a lot of women have more traumatic things happen during labor and delivery, where they aren't even aware of what's going on, or they pass out, or just there's things that can go wrong. So I don't want this to make it seem like, oh, my birth was so traumatic. But I did just want to mention that you can like your birth and it can still be traumatic, and you can still have symptoms of PTSD. I definitely don't have PTSD from it, praise the Lord, because that would be terrible, and I'm very sorry if you are struggling with that. But I definitely have symptoms of it. It's not normal to feel like you're gonna throw up, or like you are in adrenaline fighting mode when you think on your child's birth. But I just wanted to talk about birth trauma a little bit, because I didn't want it to come across like in my previous birth videos and birth story, it was like, oh, my labor was amazing and beautiful, and it definitely was, but it is classified as traumatic, and I wanted to bring that up because it has made a lot more things in my life more clear on why I am the way that I am, why I think of things the way that I do. I just wanted to touch base on that because it is Birth Trauma Awareness Week, and it's important that you still accept that you didn't fail. And again, birth trauma does not mean you failed. That's what I really want to get across. I think that is it for my 1 year post-tear update. I hope that it gave some of you clarity, or it was the light at the end of the tunnel if you're just going through this. I did want to mention that there's a great Facebook group on Facebook, obviously, for mothers who have had 4th degree tears, whether it be 30 years ago, 2 years ago, you just had it last week. It is a really good support group, and there is nothing too personal for you to ask on there. Everyone's very open, and it makes you feel way less alone. There is definitely some symptoms I did not mention in this video because they're just too graphic for me to talk about on camera that kind of revolve around actual anatomy, but I just want you to know that everything looks and is back to normal. It's just some things I personally don't feel comfortable sharing with the whole entire internet, but I would feel comfortable sharing it with that birth group on Facebook, the 4th degree tear group, because we all have been through it, and it's just helpful to know that you're not a freak and you're not alone. There were some symptoms I had that I was like, what the heck, like, is this normal? And then I joined that group, and it was like post after post after post, these women dealing with it as well. So it really makes you feel more normal than you think and less isolated. So I just want to encourage you, if you are dealing with this, join that group. It will give you some insight as to what you can expect, what other women are going through, and hope too. Also, just support. I will link the group in the description if I can. Otherwise, it is called Mothers with 4th Degree Tears on Facebook. If you have any questions, if you're going through this, feel free to message me on Instagram. I'm pretty much an open book one-on-one. There's just things I don't want to mention on YouTube necessarily, things that I don't think everyone needs to hear. So if you have any personal questions, feel free to message me on Instagram, or drop your Instagram in the comments and I can message you and we can chat. Otherwise, join that group. It's a very helpful group. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you back next time. Bye!